It was a cold and rainy evening in the small town of Riverdale. The streets were almost empty, and the streetlights glowed weakly through the mist. Ethan Parker, a tired single dad in his late 30s, drove home from work, tapping his fingers on the steering wheel. The radio played softly, but his mind was far away. Today was his birthday, and his little daughter Lily had planned a small dinner for him. He smiled as he thought of her. She was only 8, full of joy and imagination. She had probably drawn colorful balloons on paper and stuck them on the wall, just like last year. She had baked a small cake with help from their neighbor, Mrs. Lewis. Ethan had promised to come home early this time. But as usual, work had delayed him. The factory needed him to fix one more thing, one more late report, one more urgent problem. He sighed. "Sorry, sweetheart," he whispered, feeling guilty. "Daddy's on his way." As he turned onto the narrow forest road that led to their house, a sudden flash of light exploded in the sky. It wasn't lightning. It was brighter, stranger, and came with a loud crack that shook his car. Ethan hit the brakes. Through the rain, he saw something streak across the clouds and crash into the forest with a fiery trail. For a few seconds, he sat frozen. His heart pounded. "What was that?" he said softly. It didn't look like a plane or a meteor. The light had a strange blue color, not red or orange like fire. He looked at his phone. No signal. The smart thing would be to drive home and call the police. But something inside him, something quiet and strong, told him someone might need help. He took a deep breath, turned off the car, and stepped into the rain. The forest was dark and full of fog. The smell of wet earth and burning metal filled the air. He followed the faint blue glow deeper into the woods. The ground was muddy, his shoes sinking with each step. Branches cracked under his feet. The sound of distant thunder echoed, but under it he heard something else, a soft cry, weak and trembling. Ethan's pulse quickened. "Hello?" he called out. "Is anyone there?" No answer. Just another small cry, this time closer. He followed the sound and reached a clearing. His breath caught. There, half buried in the ground, was something that looked like a small silver ship. It wasn't big, maybe the size of a car, but its surface shimmered like liquid glass. Smoke rose from cracks along its side, glowing faintly blue. Sparks flashed inside it, and then he saw her. A woman lay beside the ship, motionless at first, then slowly turning her head toward him. Her skin had a pale glow under the rain, her long hair silver like moonlight. Her eyes opened, and they weren't brown or blue, but a deep, shining turquoise that almost seemed to light the air around her. Next to her was a small child, curled up and crying softly. Ethan froze, his mind struggling to understand. This wasn't possible. "Oh my God," he whispered. He dropped to his knees beside them. Hey, are you okay?" The woman tried to speak, her voice weak and shaking. "Please, help my child." Her accent was strange, her words slow, as if English was not her language. Ethan took off his jacket and wrapped it around the small child, who felt warm, too warm, almost feverish. "I'll help," he said quickly. "Don't worry. You're safe." The woman's eyes filled with tears. "They will come soon." "You must hurry. Who will come?" Ethan asked, but she didn't answer. She tried to stand and stumbled. Ethan caught her arm, surprised at how light she felt, as if her bones were hollow. Okay, he said, keeping calm. "My house is close. I'll take you both there." He carried the child in his arms, the small body trembling but alive. The woman followed weakly behind. When they reached his car, she looked at it with fear, like she had never seen one before. Ethan gently opened the door. "It's just a car. We'll be fine." He drove as fast as he could toward home, wiping rain from his eyes. He looked at the woman through the mirror. Her gaze was fixed on the sky where thunder rumbled again. "Thank you," she whispered softly. "You are kind." Ethan didn't reply. His mind was spinning. Who was she? What kind of ship was that? Why did she say they will come soon? When he finally pulled into his driveway, he saw the small house decorated with balloons and candles glowing in the window. His heart ached. Lily had been waiting all evening. He stepped out and opened the door quietly. Lily ran to him smiling. "Daddy! Happy birth." Her words stopped when she saw the woman and the glowing child. Her eyes grew wide. Ethan knelt down beside her. "Sweetheart," he said gently, "these are our friends. They need our help tonight." Lily looked at the woman, then at the small child, and nodded slowly. "Okay, Daddy." The woman's glowing eyes softened as she looked at Lily. "You have..." A kind heart. As the rain stopped outside, Ethan locked the door, his mind still full of questions. He had no idea that his decision to stop on that dark road would change everything. His life, his daughter's life, and maybe even the future of two worlds. And upstairs, far beyond the clouds, something watched them through the storm, something that had followed the fallen ship and was already on its way. The next morning, the rain had stopped and sunlight poured through the windows of Ethan's small home. The scent of coffee mixed with the faint smell of burnt cake from last night's forgotten birthday. Ethan sat at the kitchen table, his eyes fixed on the two strangers sleeping on his living room couch, the glowing woman and her small child. He still couldn't believe what he had seen. A silver ship buried in the forest, a woman who wasn't quite human, a child who shivered even when wrapped in blankets. It all felt like a dream, but the bandage on his arm, and the faint blue glow that still lingered on her skin, proved it was real. Ethan rubbed his eyes. "What did I get myself into?" he whispered. Just then a small voice came from behind him. "Daddy, are they aliens?" Lily stood there in her pajamas holding her stuffed bunny. Her eyes were wide with curiosity, not fear. Ethan turned to her and smiled weakly. "I don't know, sweetheart, but they needed help. And we're going to help them, okay?" Lily nodded. "Okay." She looked at the woman and added softly, "She looks kind." Ethan smiled. "Yeah, she does." After a while, the woman woke up. She sat up slowly, looking around the room like everything was strange and new to her. Her child stirred beside her, his small fingers gripping her hand tightly. "Good morning," Ethan said carefully. She blinked, her turquoise eyes bright but gentle. "Good morning." Her voice was soft, as if she was still learning how to shape the words. Ethan pointed to the cup on the table. "Coffee or maybe water?" She hesitated, then said, "Water." Ethan handed her a glass. She touched it carefully, studying it like she had never seen one before, then took a slow sip. Her lips curved in a small smile. "Thank you." "You're welcome," Ethan said. "My name's Ethan. This is my daughter, Lily." The woman nodded. "I am Elira, my child. His name is Rin." Lily came closer, shy but curious. "Hi, Rin." Rin peeked at her from behind his mother, then slowly smiled. His eyes glowed faintly blue. "Hi." The two children looked at each other, one from Earth, one from the stars, and somehow they didn't seem afraid. Ethan sat down across from Elira. "Elira, what happened last night? Your ship crashed. Are you hurt?" Elira looked down at her hands. The faint glow from her skin had faded a little. "We were traveling, in peace. Then we were attacked." Her voice trembled. "We fell from the sky. My ship is broken. Rin is weak," Ethan frowned. "Attacked by who?" She hesitated. "Humans." Ethan's eyes widened. "Humans?" "Yes," she said quietly. "Men in black suits. They wanted the core of my ship. It has power. Your people do not understand." Ethan leaned back, trying to take it in. "You mean the government?" Elira didn't know the word, but she nodded. "They came before. When my people tried to make peace, they took what was ours." Ethan's heart sank. It sounded crazy, like something from a movie. Yet deep inside he believed her. He remembered the black vans he had seen in town sometimes, the way people whispered about strange lights in the sky. Elira looked at him sadly. "Because you helped me, they will look for you too." Ethan felt a chill run through his body. He looked at Lily, who was now laughing quietly as Rin made her toy bunny float a few inches in the air using his glowing hands. The sight was beautiful and terrifying. "Then we need to keep you hidden," Ethan said. "At least until you can fix your ship." Elira's eyes softened. "You would risk your safety." "For us," Ethan sighed. "I couldn't just leave you there. You're a mother. I'm a father. That's enough reason." For the first time, Elira smiled. A real smile, full of warmth and light. "You have a good heart, Ethan." That evening, they shared a quiet meal together. Lily insisted on giving Rin a small piece of her birthday cake. Rin tasted it and laughed. "It sparkles," he said, surprised by the sugar. Ethan chuckled. "Yeah, that's sugar. Welcome to Earth." Elira looked around the small dining room, her eyes filled with wonder. She touched the wooden table gently. "Your world? It is simple but full of life. I miss that." Ethan looked at her curiously. "What's your world like?" Alira's gaze grew distant. Bright skies that never end. Cities that float above the oceans. Families who stay together. Always, no wars. No hunger. No one is left alone. Her words made Ethan's chest ache. That sounds beautiful. It was, she whispered. Until humans came. Before he could ask more, there was a loud thump outside. Ethan froze. He went to the window and peered out. A black SUV had stopped near his driveway. Two men stepped out wearing dark coats. They carried flashlights and something that looked like scanners. Ethan's heart raced. He turned to Alira. "You need to hide, now." She nodded quickly and grabbed Rin. "Where?" "Basement," Ethan said. "Go, I'll handle this." He opened the front door just as the men reached his porch. One of them flashed a badge. "Evening, sir. We're from the Air Research Division. Did you happen to see or hear anything strange last night?" Ethan forced a calm smile. "Just the thunder. Scared my kid half to death." The man looked past him into the house. "Mind if we take a quick look?" Ethan's pulse quickened. "Actually, my daughter's sick. Maybe another time." The men exchanged glances, then finally nodded. "All right, sir. If you notice anything, call us." They handed him a card, then walked back to their vehicle. Ethan closed the door and locked it, his heart still pounding. When he turned, Alira was standing in the shadows, her eyes glowing faintly. "They will not stop," she whispered. "You have changed your path now, Ethan. You are part of this." He looked at her, feeling the weight of her words. He didn't know what tomorrow would bring, but deep inside, he knew one thing. He couldn't turn back now. Outside, the sound of engines faded into the night, but somewhere far above, another light blinked in the sky, watching, waiting. The story of two worlds had just begun. The morning air was heavy with silence. Birds chirped softly outside, but inside Ethan's small house, tension hung thick like a shadow. The night before still felt unreal. The visit from the men in black, Alira's warning, the fear in her glowing eyes. Ethan sat by the window watching the road. Every passing car made his heart race. Lily and Rin were playing quietly on the living room floor, building small towers out of toy blocks. Alira stood near them, her silver hair catching the light. Even when she smiled, her eyes seemed far away, filled with worry. Ethan turned to her. "You said they'll come again," he said softly. "How do you know?" Alira's voice was calm but low. "Because they always come. Once they find energy from my ship, they will trace it. They want the power inside and the ship's core. Without it, I cannot return home. With it, they can destroy much more than that." Ethan frowned. "Then we need to find it before they do." Alira shook her head. "It is lost in the forest. The core protects itself. It hides until called by its owner." She placed her hand on her chest. "But I am too weak to call it now." He looked at her pale face and nodded slowly. "Then we'll keep you safe until you can." Just as he spoke, Lily gasped. "Daddy, look!" Through the window, a black drone hovered silently in the sky, blinking red lights as it scanned the area. Ethan's stomach dropped. "They found us." Alira rushed to the children, pulling them back from the window. "It's not alone," she said quickly. "There will be others." Ethan ran to the garage, grabbing an old tarp. Together they covered the windows, turning the bright morning into dim gray. The house felt smaller, tighter, like a hiding cave. Minutes later, the low hum of engines echoed outside. Through a small gap, Ethan saw two black vans parked down the road. Men in dark armor stepped out, carrying strange scanning devices. Alira placed her hand on the floor, and faint light pulsed beneath her fingers. "I can block their signal for a short time," she whispered, "but not for long." Ethan's heart pounded. He could feel sweat on his forehead. "How many?" "Too many," she said quietly. Lily looked scared. "Daddy, are they bad people?" Ethan knelt beside her and held her close. "They're just confused, sweetheart. But Daddy's here. We'll be okay." The faint hum outside grew louder. The men were walking toward the house now. One of them lifted a strange device that beeped rapidly when pointed toward Ethan's yard. "They're detecting the energy from Rin," Alira said quickly. "We must go, now." Ethan glanced at his car keys. "We can't just walk out. They'll see us." Alira stood tall, her eyes glowing brighter. "Then I will give them something else to see." Before Ethan could stop her, she stepped to the window and raised her hand. A wave of blue light spread outward like mist. The drone above suddenly froze mid-air, sparks flying before dropping to the ground with a sharp crack. Outside, the men shouted and pointed toward the house. There, inside. Ethan grabbed a small bag, stuffed it with food, and pulled Lily close. We're leaving. Alira held Rin in her arms. Through the forest. I can guide us. They rushed out the back door just as the front one burst open. The sound of heavy boots echoed inside. Search every room. One voice shouted. Ethan and Alira ran through the tall grass behind the house, their breath fogging in the cool air. The forest loomed ahead, dark and thick. Branches snapped under their feet. Behind them, flashlights cut through the fog like white spears. Ethan's chest burned from running. Where are we going? Somewhere safe, Alira said. There is a place the machines cannot enter near the river. They reached the old bridge at the edge of town, half broken and covered with vines. Alira stopped and touched one of the wooden posts. It glowed softly, then disappeared, revealing a hidden path beneath the bridge leading into a cave. Ethan stared in shock. What is this? A doorway my people built long ago, she said. For times like this, they stepped inside. The cave was wide and glowing with soft blue light. Strange symbols lined the walls, gently pulsing like a heartbeat. Rin looked around with wonder. Mama, home light. Alira smiled sadly. Yes, my little star. Home light. Ethan looked behind them. The sounds of shouting were distant now. They had escaped, and for now. As they sat in the cave, catching their breath, Alira turned to Ethan. You did not have to help me, she said softly. Yet you did. Why? Ethan looked down. Because you reminded me of my wife. She left years ago. When Lily was born, she couldn't handle the responsibility. Since then, it's just been us. When I saw you holding Rin, I knew I couldn't walk away. Alira's eyes shimmered. Your kindness is rare among your kind. You risk everything for strangers. Ethan sighed. I don't know about that. I just do what feels right. For a long moment, they sat in silence, the soft glow of the cave wrapping around them. Outside, the searchlights moved through the forest but never found the hidden path. Finally, Alira spoke again. They will not stop, Ethan. They want the core. And if they believe you know where it is, they will come again. Ethan clenched his jaw. Then we'll be ready. Alira looked at him, a faint smile forming. Maybe the stars sent me to the right human after all. Far above the clouds, a satellite camera flickered to life. A red signal flashed across a distant command screen. Target relocated. Pursuit authorized. The chase had only just begun. The days passed slowly inside the hidden cave beneath the bridge. Outside, the world moved as usual. Cars on the road, people at work. But for Ethan, time had taken on a different rhythm. Every morning he listened for the sound of engines or footsteps, afraid the men in black would find them. Every night he checked the forest for strange lights. Yet in the middle of all that fear, something unexpected was happening. A quiet bond was forming between two families from different worlds. Ethan had turned part of the cave into a small home. He brought food and blankets from town when it was safe, pretending to go camping whenever anyone asked questions. Lily helped Rin learn new words while Alira watched them with soft eyes. The glow in her skin had dimmed, but she looked stronger now. One afternoon, as sunlight filtered through the cracks above, Ethan sat beside Alira while the children played near the glowing wall symbols. Rin was teaching Lily how to make the lights dance by tracing shapes with her finger. Lily giggled each time the wall shimmered. They're learning fast, Ethan said, smiling. Alira nodded. Children always learn faster than grown hearts. Ethan glanced at her. Is that something your people say? She smiled faintly. Yes, on my world, children guide us. They remind us how to feel, how to hope. Adults forget too easily. Ethan chuckled softly. I think that's true everywhere. There was a long silence. Then Ethan asked the question that had been burning in his mind. Alira, why were you on Earth? Why come here at all? Alira's expression darkened. We did not come to harm. My people, the Alari, travel to share knowledge. We learn from other worlds and help them grow in peace. But humans... She paused. Humans fear what they do not control. Ethan frowned. You mean someone attacked your ship just because they were afraid? Yes, she whispered. They wanted our technology, our energy source. The core that powers our ships can heal or destroy. In the wrong hands, it can end worlds. Ethan felt a chill. And now they're hunting you because of it. Alira nodded. If they find it, your planet will never be the same. He rubbed his forehead. So what's the plan? We can't hide forever. I must regain strength, she said. When I am ready, I can call the core. But I need quiet and trust. Ethan looked at her gently. You have both here. Elira met his eyes, and for a brief moment, their world seemed to fade away. No fear, no walls. Just two people trying to protect their children. That evening, as the sun dipped below the trees, Ethan built a small fire near the entrance of the cave. The children sat wrapped in blankets, roasting marshmallows. Rin's first taste of earth's sweetness. He made a funny face, and Lily laughed so hard she nearly dropped hers. This is happiness, Elira said softly, watching them. Ethan looked at her. You sound surprised, she nodded. On my planet, we do not eat for joy. We eat only to live. Your world has pain, but also small joys. That is your strength, Ethan smiled. Maybe it's what keeps us human. For a while, everything felt peaceful. The fire crackled softly. The air smelled of smoke and sugar, and the cave glowed with gentle blue light. But peace never lasted long. A sudden vibration rippled through the air. Elira's eyes snapped open, glowing bright. They're near, Ethan stood up quickly. The soldiers? No, she said, her voice tense. Something else. Not human. Before he could ask more, the glowing symbols on the walls flickered violently. Rin clutched his head, crying out in pain. Lily screamed, holding him tight. Elira rushed forward and placed her hands on her son's temples. Blue energy flowed from her palms. The core is calling to him, she shouted. It senses danger. Ethan looked around, panic rising. What do we do? Elira's voice trembled. If the signal is strong, others may follow it, my kind, or worse. The cave shook slightly, dust falling from above. Ethan grabbed Lily, pulling her close. We need to leave. Elira's glow dimmed as she calmed Rin, who finally stopped crying. She looked up at Ethan, eyes full of sorrow. No, we stay. If the core has awakened, it means it is ready to return. I must find it soon, before they do. Ethan nodded, breathing heavily. Then I'll go with you. You cannot, she said. It is too dangerous. I'm already part of this, Elira, he said firmly. If something happens to you, what happens to Lily and Rin? We do this together. Elira hesitated, then slowly nodded. Very well. Tomorrow at first light we go. That night the cave was silent except for the soft breathing of the children as they slept side by side. Ethan sat awake, staring at the fire's dying glow. He thought of the life he once had. Work, bills, birthday dinners, and how everything had changed in just a few days. Beside him, Elira whispered, You are brave, Ethan Parker. He smiled tiredly. Maybe just foolish. No, she said gently. Foolish hearts do not risk everything for strangers. Their eyes met, and for a fleeting second it felt like the stars themselves had come closer. Two lives, two worlds joined by something deeper than fate. Outside, unseen in the forest, a faint red light blinked from behind the trees, a hidden sensor tracking every pulse of alien energy. The hunt was far from over. The night was silent, too silent. Even the wind seemed to have stopped moving through the trees. Ethan stood at the cave entrance, staring into the darkness. Something deep in his gut told him that peace was ending, the calm before the storm. Behind him, Elira and the children were asleep near the glowing walls. The faint blue light of the cave wrapped around them like a soft blanket. Lily slept with her arm around Rin, their breathing gentle and even. Elira rested nearby, her silver hair glowing faintly in the dim light. Ethan stepped outside to get some air. The forest smelled of damp earth and pine, but something else lingered in the air, a faint burning scent. He frowned and looked up at the sky. For a moment it was clear and calm. Then he saw it, a line of lights moving fast, slicing through the night sky like a row of silent stars. They weren't planes. They were too quiet, too precise. Ethan's chest tightened. No, they found us. He ran back inside. Elira, wake up! We have to move. Her eyes snapped open, glowing bright blue. She stood immediately, sensing what he felt. They are here, she said in a low, steady voice. I can feel their machines. Lily sat up, rubbing her eyes. Daddy, what's happening? Ethan crouched beside her. It's okay, sweetheart. We just need to go somewhere safe again, all right? But it was already too late. The ground trembled, dust falling from the cave ceiling. Outside, engines roared and bright white beams cut through the forest. Elira's expression hardened. They are many. How many? Ethan asked. Too many, she whispered. But I will not let them take you. She lifted her hands and the walls of the cave pulsed with blue light. Strange symbols began to spin, forming a glowing shield at the entrance. Ethan watched in awe as energy filled the air like a living thing. Outside, voices shouted. "There, the energy spike is inside the cave. Move in," Lily screamed as a bright flash exploded near the entrance. Alira's shield rippled but held firm. Sparks danced along the surface like lightning trapped in glass. Ethan ran to his backpack, pulling out a flashlight and an old hunting rifle. His hands shook but his eyes were steady. He turned to Alira. "If they get through, I'll hold them off. You take the kids and run." Alira looked at him, eyes wide. "No, you cannot fight them. They have weapons beyond yours." "I'm not letting them take my daughter," Ethan said. "Not her. Not you." For a brief moment their eyes met, human and alien, two parents who understood the same fear. Losing their child. Then, with a deafening crack, the shield shattered. A wave of force threw Ethan back against the wall. Alira screamed and raised her arms again, summoning another barrier of light. But this time it flickered weakly. Men in black armor stormed in, their visors glowing red. One of them shouted, "Secure the targets. Retrieve the core." Ethan fired once, a desperate shot, but the bullet bent mid-air, dissolving against a soldier's armor. They moved like shadows, fast and silent. Alira threw her hands forward. Blue energy burst out, slamming two soldiers into the wall. Sparks filled the air. The smell of burning metal stung Ethan's nose. "Go," Alira shouted. "Take Lily and Rin." Ethan grabbed Lily and pulled her toward the back tunnel. "Come on, sweetheart. Hold on tight." But Rin wouldn't move. His small hands glowed brightly and he was staring at the soldiers with wide, tear-filled eyes. "Mama," he cried. Alira turned toward him, but before she could move, one of the soldiers fired a weapon that released a blinding pulse. Alira screamed as the energy hit her. She fell to her knees, trembling. Ethan ran to her, pulling her up. "Alira, stay with me." Her skin flickered between light and shadow. She reached into her tunic and pulled out a small silver cube, the size of a heart glowing with soft blue veins. "This is the ship's core," she whispered, pressing it into his hand. "Keep it safe. Don't let them have it. Promise me." Ethan's voice shook. "I promise." "But you're coming with us." Alira smiled weakly. "You still don't understand." "I can't." Before he could answer, she turned toward the soldiers, her body shining brighter than ever. Blue light erupted from her, filling the cave with a brilliant flash. The soldiers screamed and dropped their weapons. "Run, Ethan!" she shouted. "Run now." Ethan grabbed Lily and Rin, dragging them toward the exit. He turned once more and saw Alira standing tall in the middle of the light, her form dissolving like smoke, her eyes calm and full of peace. Then, a blinding explosion ripped through the cave. The forest lit up as if a small sun had been born beneath the trees. Birds scattered into the night sky. The ground shook. The black vans outside flipped over, their lights shattering. When the smoke cleared, the cave was gone, only a crater remained, glowing faintly blue. Hours later, Ethan awoke on the forest floor, his ears ringing. He looked around in confusion, calling out, "Alira!" "Lily," Lily's voice answered weakly. "Daddy!" He rushed to her side and hugged her tight. Rin lay nearby, unconscious but breathing, but Alira was gone. Only the faint silver cube remained, pulsing gently in Ethan's hand, the last piece of her world. As dawn broke, the forest was silent again. The soldiers were gone. The smoke had faded, but Ethan knew nothing would ever be the same. He looked at the cube and whispered, "I'll keep my promise." And somewhere, far beyond the stars, a voice echoed faintly, warm and distant. "You already have." The morning sun broke through the smoky haze, casting long beams of light across the ruined forest. The once secret cave was now just a crater filled with ash and silence. Ethan sat on the damp ground, his shirt torn, his face streaked with soot. In his hand, he held the silver cube that pulsed faintly with blue light, the last gift from Alira. Lily sat beside him, her small hands trembling. "Daddy, is she gone?" Ethan stared at the horizon. "I don't know, sweetheart. But she saved us." Beside them, Rin slowly woke up. His glowing eyes flickered weakly. "Mama," he whispered, looking around. "Where's Mama?" Ethan's chest ached. He couldn't find the right words. How do you tell a child that their mother vanished into light to save them? He reached out and gently pulled the boy close. "She's gone for now, Rin. But she wanted you to be safe. She wanted both of you to live. Rin's small fingers clutched the front of Ethan's jacket. She'll come back, he said softly, as if trying to believe his own words. Ethan looked at the cube again. The light inside it seemed to pulse in rhythm with a heartbeat. Sometimes fast, sometimes slow. He had no idea what it meant, but he felt it wasn't just a piece of metal. It was alive. For the next few days they hid in an abandoned cabin near the edge of the forest. Ethan fixed what he could. Patched windows, started fires, made food from cans. Lily drew pictures on torn notebook pages, one of her family and another of Elira flying among stars. Each night Rin would hold the cube close and whisper strange words in his own language. Sometimes the cube glowed brighter when he spoke. Ethan wondered if Elira could somehow hear her son across the stars. On the fourth day, they heard helicopters again. The sound was distant at first, then closer. Ethan peeked through the cracked window. Black vehicles rolled down the dirt road. The same men, or maybe new ones, wearing the same dark suits. "They're back," he whispered. Lily's eyes widened. "Daddy, what will we do?" Ethan clenched his jaw. "We run, but this time, I think they're after the cube." He turned to Rin. "That thing, your mother said it could save or destroy worlds. Do you know how it works?" Rin shook his head, tears in his eyes. "Only Mama knew how to wake it." Ethan thought for a moment, then nodded. "Then we'll protect it until we find someone who can." The rumble of engines grew louder. Elira's words echoed in his mind. "If they find the core, your planet will never be the same." He packed quickly, food, blankets, and the cube wrapped in cloth. They slipped out the back door and ran into the forest once again. As they reached the edge of the trees, bright lights swept over them. Voices shouted, "Stop! You're under federal custody." Ethan grabbed both kids and ran downhill toward the river. Gunfire cracked behind them. The air filled with the smell of smoke and metal. "Daddy!" Lily cried. "They're getting closer." Rin's small hands glowed suddenly. "I can help," he shouted. Before Ethan could stop him, Rin turned and stretched his arms toward the soldiers. A wave of blue energy burst out, knocking trees aside like twigs. The lights went out and the shouts stopped. The boy fell to his knees, exhausted. Ethan picked him up, his heart racing. "Rin, what did you do?" Rin looked up weakly. "I called her." "What?" "She told me. To protect you." Ethan's breath caught. The cube in his pocket began to glow brighter, its light leaking through the cloth. The hum was louder now, vibrating like a living heart. They reached the riverbank and stopped. The current was strong, cold water rushing fast. Across the water lay the safety of the hills, freedom. Behind them, engines roared again. They were surrounded. Ethan turned, clutching the cube. "You want this?" he shouted. "You'll never have it!" A voice from a megaphone answered, cold and sharp. "Don't be foolish, Mr. Parker. That object doesn't belong to you. Hand it over and we'll let your children go." Ethan's pulse thundered in his ears. Children. They thought Rin was his son too. And maybe, in a way, he was. He looked at Lily and Rin, both terrified, holding hands. Then he made his choice. He took the cube, kissed Lily's forehead, and whispered, "No matter what happens, you keep running, okay?" "Daddy, no!" she cried. He placed the cube into Rin's hands. "Your mother trusted me. Now I trust you. Keep it safe." Rin's eyes glowed. "But you'll die." Ethan smiled faintly. "Not today." He turned and ran toward the soldiers, shouting, waving his arms to draw their fire. The forest exploded with light as bullets tore through the trees. Behind him, Rin held the cube high. It pulsed once, twice, and then released a massive burst of blue light that swallowed the entire valley. The soldiers vanished in silence. The vehicles melted into dust. The sky turned white for a moment, then calm again. When the light faded, the children were gone, carried away by a warm wind toward the hills. Ethan lay by the riverbank, breathing heavily. His ears rang, his vision blurred. The world was quiet again. In the distance, faintly, a voice whispered in his mind, soft, gentle, and full of light. "You chose well, Ethan Parker. The core is safe, and so is our future." He smiled weakly, eyes closing as the first stars appeared in the fading sky. For the first time since that night on the forest road, Ethan felt peace, and far above Earth, beyond the edge of the clouds, A new light shimmered among the stars, the sign that Elira's world still watched. And remembered years passed. The forest grew back where the crater once was, hiding every trace of that terrible night. The government sealed the area, calling it an energy leak incident. Locals whispered about strange blue lights that sometimes glowed between the trees, but no one dared to go near. Ethan Parker had moved to a small coastal town far from Riverdale. The ocean was calm there, and the sound of waves helped him sleep. He still carried the memories and the promise. It had been 8 years since Elira vanished, 8 years since the cube disappeared with the children. Lily was 16 now, taller, stronger, but her eyes still held the same light, that soft, curious spark her father loved. Every year on his birthday, she baked a small cake with blue icing, in memory of the Star Lady, as she called Elira. That evening, as the sun dipped into the sea, Ethan sat on the porch, sipping tea. Lily came out holding a small wrapped box. "Happy birthday, Dad," he smiled gently. "You didn't have to, honey." "I wanted to," she said, handing him the box. "It's something special." Inside was a silver locket shaped like a tiny cube, an imitation of the one Elira had given him. Ethan stared at it for a long moment, his throat tight. "It's beautiful," he whispered. Lily smiled. "Do you think Rin's okay? Wherever he is?" Ethan's eyes softened. "Yeah," he said quietly. "I think he's somewhere safe. And maybe we'll see them again one day." They sat together watching the sky turn from gold to deep blue. The stars began to appear one by one, just like every other night. But tonight, one of the stars flickered, then blinked twice in a pattern Ethan remembered all too well. His breath caught. "Lily, do you see that?" She looked up. "The blinking one?" "Yeah, it's pretty." Ethan stood up slowly. "That's not a star." Before Lily could answer, the wind changed. The ocean grew still. The air filled with a faint hum, low and familiar. The same sound he'd heard the night Elira's ship crashed years ago. A beam of soft blue light appeared above the water, cutting through the dark sky. The clouds swirled, glowing faintly. Then slowly a silver ship emerged from the light, silent, graceful, shining like a star reborn. Lily gasped. "Dad, it's her, isn't it?" Ethan's heart pounded. He didn't dare move. The ship descended over the beach, landing gently on the sand. A door opened and the air shimmered with blue energy. A figure stepped out, tall, graceful, familiar. Elira. She looked exactly as he remembered, glowing silver hair, turquoise eyes full of warmth. Behind her walked Rin, now older, his glow steady and strong. Ethan took a shaky step forward. "Elira?" Her lips curved into a soft smile. "Ethan Parker," she said, her voice like a song carried by wind. "You kept your promise." He blinked, unable to speak. For years he had dreamed of this moment, but now that it was real, he felt like the world had stopped spinning. Lily ran forward before he could move. "Rin!" she shouted. Rin laughed, the same laugh she remembered from their childhood, and hugged her tightly. "You grew up," he said in wonder. She grinned. "And you stopped glowing so much." Elira approached Ethan slowly. "Your world changed because of your choice," she said. "The core awakened peace between our kinds. Humans learned from its power, not to destroy but to heal." Ethan shook his head in disbelief. "You mean, they know about you now?" She nodded. "Yes, quietly, carefully. Your world is not ready for all truth, but it is learning." He smiled faintly. "I'm glad. You deserve peace." Elira's eyes glowed brighter. "And you deserve rest." She reached out, placing her hand over his heart. Warmth spread through him, gentle, soothing, full of light. The ache in his bones faded, the years of pain easing away. Ethan took a deep breath, feeling stronger than he had in years. What did you do?" Elira smiled. "A gift. For kindness that crossed stars." He looked into her eyes, still lost for words. "I thought you were gone forever." "I was never gone," she whispered. "Just waiting until your world was ready." The sea breeze lifted her hair like silver threads in the moonlight. Rin and Lily stood nearby, watching quietly. Rin looked at his mother. "Can we stay?" Elira turned toward Ethan. "That is your father's choice now." Ethan looked at Lily. Sweetheart, what do you think? Lily's eyes sparkled. Maybe. Maybe it's time to see the stars. He laughed softly. You sound like your mom used to. Elira extended her hand. Come with us, Ethan. There are worlds where the night never ends, where peace is real. You and Lily can visit. Or stay. Ethan hesitated, staring at the silver ship waiting on the sand. The waves shimmered blue from its glow. He thought of his old life and the bills, the factory, the loneliness, and then looked at Elira, her eyes full of hope. He took her hand. Let's go home, Lily squealed, grabbing Rin's hand. Together, the four of them walked into the glowing light. The ship rose slowly, silently, leaving only a swirl of sand behind. As it climbed higher, the clouds parted, and a beam of light spread across the ocean, touching the horizon. For a moment, the night sky seemed alive, stars shifting, aligning into a pattern that looked almost like wings. And somewhere in that vast, endless space, Ethan Parker finally understood the truth Elira once told him, that kindness could cross galaxies, and a single choice could change the future of two worlds. Back on Earth, the waves whispered softly against the shore, carrying the last echo of her voice. You stopped to help a stranger, and found the stars instead,